Good morning, everybody. It's Positive Tuesday today, June 1st. Oh, it's June 1st, 2021. For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden, and you're watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by ICAA. Fitzy, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
I just asked you, how are you?
I said good.
You're answering a question with a question.
That's a good tactic.
Okay, fine. I'm good.
Tell me what you did all weekend.
All right, no problem. Let's see. Actually, that's great. So,
all the legal stuff you did.
What's that? The
All
legal
the legal
stuff, right?
No, skip that legal stuff, though.
I was searching for that really high quality math, but couldn't find it.
Yeah, couldn't get the high quality. No. I don't want to do math if I'm going to do math. Yeah. No, don't do math, kids.
Yeah, so we went down, or obviously it was on his graduation. We talked about that last week. One of our children, my 18-year-old daughter, Annalise, she graduated high school, so that was cool. So we went down Friday night for that. And then Drusha and I got a little sneak away. My mom and dad had the kids for a couple of days, and Drusha and I went down to Eau Claire and got a hotel and just kind of bummed around. Went to Phoenix Park for a farmer's market, which is awesome down there. So met a person. I had a Dryden my shirt on. They came up to me and like, "Hey, Dryden, what? Ben and Fitzy." I'm like, "What? Yes." Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, that was awesome. So I'm like, man, I really got to get those shirts done. Which, by the way, there is an update on that. Matt, of course, with graduation and then Drusha and I being gone, and then Memorial Weekend for Matt's ice cream stand, and also he did that fundraiser for the fireworks show, which I believe he raised on Sunday $2,600, dude.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it was fantastic. That it allows the fireworks to be, better and still free for everyone. So it was a great thing. But between Matt's and my schedule this week, everything got pushed off till this week. So we're still we're about a week behind on that now. So anyway, that's pretty much what happened with me. How about you?
It was a great weekend. Did a lot of graduations, had lots of graduations for kids we knew, and actually got on the golf course last night and played some golf with my kid last night.
You play golf?
Yeah, I don't. Well, if you ask my son, he doesn't. I don't play golf.
Well, you play golf.
Right.
Doesn't mean you're good.
No, actually, I went out last night and played some golf after a graduation party, and it was kind of nice. It was beautiful last night. It's going to be beautiful all week, and good kickoff to June Dairy Month. Today's June 1st.
What does that mean, actually? I mean, I know it's like, June Dairy Month, but I mean, are we supposed to be doing something or buying more milk?
Supporting our farmers, doing all that fun stuff.
Is that it? Like, I'm not saying that sarcastically. Like, if I'm supposed to be doing something, I will.
Yeah, it's just to support our farmers. That's their busiest time of the year, and June is Dairy Month, and I don't know, what the meaning behind that, but it's to support our local farmers and do a lot of fun things. The dairy breakfast, the pancake breakfast is on Saturday, so I'm getting my flipping skills all in tune to flip some pancakes on Saturday morning at 5:30 a.m. On the farm just outside of Barron here.
Attaboy.
So we're all excited for a busy month. It was we'll get into the stats, and it wasn't a bad weekend, and I don't have any press releases to write, so we did good.
Good. And right before we went on, so here's a little behind the scenes thing for all of our viewers. We've done so many of these now. Usually I send a link like 15 minutes before. We go over everything or anything that we want to talk about. So I sent it at 8:15. Fitzy gets on like 8:29, like a minute before we go. He's like, all right, let's go.
I'm a busy guy.
You're a busy guy. But you had mentioned something. Maybe we should get that later. Let's get into that right after this. Let's do the trivia question. But you said you put up a post, and I haven't been on Facebook this morning, but you put up a post, and in 30 seconds before we went live, you were telling me a little bit about it, which is just kind of crazy what you were telling me. So before that, we got one trivia question today.
Okay.
So just to catch you up, you are we've done 7, and you've only gotten 3 right. So if you get this right, you're at 500.
I'm working my way to 500.
Yep. There you go. Yep. And speaking of 500, if you were a 500 hitter, you would be a Hall of Famer. The question today is on baseball. I got to find it. Okay. I'm not going to give you multiple choice, but I'm going to give you 4 hints.
Okay.
The question, 2 hints, then 2 hints in a little bit. So the question is, which major league player holds the record for the most gold gloves in a career? You know what gold gloves are? Like defensive player of the year for each position.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
I know. Yes.
Okay. All right. So
I know for someone.
which player holds the record for the most gold gloves in a career? So hint number 1. I'll give you 2 hints right now. He holds the record with 18. Hint number 2, he was a first ballot Hall of Famer. You think on that, and although I don't know what you see, ICAA. No. ICA is your local social service organization that works together with individuals, families, and the community to create and support local solutions for local needs. Their goal is to help remove barriers so people can access resources, education, and services to increase financial security. For a full list of services, find them on Facebook or check them out on their website at indianheadcaa.org. Do you want 2 more hints?
Yes.
He wore, no, this won't be the important part. He wore number 31 for a jersey number, and it was retired with 2 different teams. So he excelled with 2 different teams.
I have no idea.
Hint 4, his nickname while playing was Mad Dog.
Nope.
I got 1 more hint, and you know this person. Last hint, he was a pitcher, because pitchers are also defensive players.
Randy Johnson? No.
No.
He was the big unit or something like that.
Yeah. So the 2 teams that this pitcher was had his number retired was the Atlanta Braves and the Chicago Cubs.
John Smoltz.
No. He play for the Cubs. It's Greg Maddux.
Oh, no. See, that didn't. You're a Cubs fan, though. I'm not.
I thought you'd have gotten that one. I really did. I
didn't even get Wayne Gretzky. I love hockey.
I know it. And oh man, we could talk sports all day, but I love how Toronto lost a 3-1 series lead, as they always do in hockey playoffs. All right, so we want to get to any pressers or articles that we've either done, or pressers that you've sent, or articles. Last Tuesday, you had touched on, but just briefly, you couldn't get into it, regarding a situation that happened. We requested a criminal complaint, did a story on it the following morning, and the headline was, man charged for, see, Jody got it. See, right there. Man charged for allegedly shooting at someone during fight in Comstock, Wisconsin. Now that information out, the individual was charged. What can you say about that? What do you want to talk about on that?
It was a fight. There was a third party that got involved, and he fired a round, or allegedly, we have to say allegedly, fired a round off at in a direction, and he was charged with reckless endangerment, and he was currently held in the jail. I believe he's out on bond, but that's it's an unnecessary thing that needed to happen, and that's why I was charged with reckless. It's very dangerous to have guns out and use them in that manner and fashion, and it's that's when bad stuff happens, and luckily it didn't turn out to be any worse than it did, and it's disheartening to have an incident like this. It's stupid. I mean, and that's what it is, and we don't use that word often, but it's just, we've got to do a better job of being smarter as adults. Make better examples for our kids. So,
I was surprised that what the potential penalty is for, just shooting near someone. I was a little taken back by that, so I had to look it up, and we have a chart, and it's like, holy cow. Yeah, don't do that. Or allegedly do whatever. Allegedly don't do that. Still, man, that's crazy.
So, and it's just, the whole situation is it didn't need to happen. The fight, and then a third party gets involved and fires a gun. It's just, we've got to be better and do better.
Yeah. All right. So tell us about, now that we have more time, what happened? You put something up this morning on the Barron County Sheriff's Department Facebook page. You just mentioned something about cows, and then you're getting a whole bunch of phone calls. Are these good phone calls? You said it's going like huge. What was it? Again, I haven't seen it yet.
Well, so we assisted in one of our local departments, the Barron Police Department, last night during a high-speed chase. It went from outside of Barron to over by the Cumberland area, and it stopped in a field. Why he stopped, I don't know. I don't know the whole details behind the crash. I haven't read the report. It's still being typed right now. But ends up crashing or stopping in this field, and all these cows surround this vehicle. And our deputy took a picture um, of the car with all these cows in front of it, and said this was our animal, our bovine unit, which is another name for cows. And they helped stop this vehicle. It made it look like these cows set this roadblock up, which isn't what happened. The cows came after with all the commotion in the field. But it was a pretty neat picture. And a lot of news stories are picking it up. And today happens to be June Dairy Month. And I said, well, that's how we kick off June Dairy Month in Wisconsin and Barron County, if supporting our local farmers. And this guy was just excited about, June Dairy Month, and that's why he stopped in a field. And, we had fun with it. No one got hurt. The bad guys in jail.
I'm looking at it now. That's awesome.
Yeah,
All these cows.
It is a pretty neat picture. One of our deputies took. It's just neat how all these cows are staring at this car, and it looks like they helped us stop this car. And I think media will have. I mean, that's the good story.
That's cute. Yeah.
That's what the media is supposed to be like. But I've taken some media calls from around the country, and obviously our Facebook page became popular over the Kloss case, so we still have a lot of people that follow us. And there's some unique news stations out there across the country that post stories like this, and this is a fun, good story. That's when law enforcement did a good job. No one got hurt, and and now it supports our farmers, and hopefully our farmers can get some traction out of this and really support your local dairy farmer and our farmers in general about everything they do. And it was just kind of a neat story. And I didn't think it would. You don't know what you put a post like that on. You don't think it's going to take that much traction. All of a sudden, it just takes off, and now it's being shared. And
630 shares. I'm looking at it now, and that was 3 hours ago. 119 comments. Thankfully, to say no humans nor cattle were injured during this incident. That's awesome.
Yeah. Aww. So I mean, that's the fun part of that.
Well, I think that's part of the law enforcement. I'm so glad that. So you're saying somebody else put this up, or you put that up?
No, I've allowed some of our deputies to have access to our Facebook page that want to do that. So I didn't get up at 5 a.m. and put that post on. Right. So
well, again, you and I have talked about this so much, that how important what words matter, and that. How important it is for law enforcement to not just communicate with their citizenry, but also in terms of like a chase or, hey, we're whatever, crime stuff, but also, a little levity and, some good and some positive things, maybe even a little bit of, humor now and again. That stuff's so important, right? It just has to be important. It just can't always be just the crime aspect of it, busting people. There's a lot of posts that we'll put on Dryden Wire that I think, I don't think this is all that great, or I'm really not interested, but it helps balance off the crime stories, because it just, if that's all we did, which is our bread and butter, right? Politics, government, crime, and court. It just is. But if that's all we did, I mean, it's kind of heavy, right? You kind of need things to balance it a little bit. So I'm glad that you guys put that up. That is awesome.
Well, yeah, and we try to put different stuff up. We put some, a post, if you follow our Facebook, we post about all of our trainings now. And I don't think we've done that in the past. And that's what incidents across the nation have made us say, you know what? People don't know what we train about. People don't know how we train. People don't know how we do our job. So we try to do that a little bit more now. We've changed how law enforcement is looked at, and there's no question about that. And so, we had some great training last week on driving and how to call a high-speed chase and felony traffic stops and tactical skills. And then we have this autism, and we put this great autism packet together for each one of our squad cars on how to deal with autistic kids. And we talked a little bit about that, but that's the kind of stuff that we're starting to put on our Facebook page, because we used to just we had this press release, but let's put some other, we always try to put good things, but that doesn't happen every day. We don't have enough time in the day to, go play Frisbee with kids every single day, but we enjoy that part of it, and we need to do more of that. But telling people how we train, what we train about, what meetings we go to, things like that are important in law enforcement to help people understand our job.
Yeah. We'll get that every once in a while too. Where are the positive stories? First of all, I think anytime someone's busted for doing something bad, that's a positive story on a lot of levels. But I get what they're saying, right? Where's the three-legged chicken story kind of a thing? And it's, well, I mean, I'll do those, but where are they? They're actually kind of hard to find, some of those. So that's where we rely a lot on people sending those. But again, I'm so glad that you guys are engaged, and I think that probably starts with your leadership. I don't know. I mean, you've been the sheriff since I started Dryden Wire in 2015, so I don't know what it was like before you, and maybe that was even before Facebook. But I'm glad that you guys do it, and you're so engaged, and you're active in communicating, and you're transparent. Some tough things, but also some fun things, some neat things, some interesting things. That stuff's important. People want to know, what is my law enforcement doing? They just do, good, bad, or otherwise. We just want to know what's going on. And I think that stuff helps. I think it goes a long way. It's kind of like that school liaison officer type thing. Now, I mean, that's a bad analogy. I don't want to get
No, it's not.
analogies. Hold on. I got something for analogies here.
We can't do analogies anymore.
Oh, I don't think that was loud enough. I got a little clip.
I can't talk about dolphins anymore. It's in my contract now. I can't.
Every time you use an analogy, now I got a little soundbite for it.
Yeah. Oh man. What else do you want to talk about? Let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on. So Memorial Weekend, I know last week I had asked if it was possible. I gave you a homework assignment to kind of look at last year's numbers and then look at this year's numbers. I don't know what numbers that you're going to be looking at, but do you have any of that information about how did the weekend go? Or
Well, it actually went really well. Obviously, we didn't have any press releases, right? So that's always a good thing when we don't have a press release over a long weekend, a holiday weekend. But I did have our 2020 stats versus our 2020. We did total phone calls into dispatch. So the number of phone calls, and this is Friday at noon till Monday at noon. So we did the exact time frame for both 2020 and 2021. We took 172 less phone calls this year versus last year. So actually, the number of phone calls into the dispatch center were actually more in 2020.
So let's actually, if you don't mind, can I ask some follow-up instead of going through them? So what would you contribute that to? Anything in particular?
So, we analyzed that a little bit this morning and yesterday when we looked at them. And we think that was because last year people were calling a lot saying, hey, there's a Minnesota car in Wisconsin and we're in lockdown, go stop that car. It's holiday weekend. People came to their cabins. We couldn't stop them. So I think we took a lot of phone calls in 2020 about COVID and people from Minnesota coming over. Okay. That's our only analogy on that one. Okay. We think that's probably somewhat true. So the total CADs, a CAD is a computer-aided dispatch. That's how every time you call in an accident, it creates a CAD. So our actually CADs were up though. We actually did 445 CADs versus 317. So while we took less calls, we did more CADs, which means the calls came in were more reactive. So we are, I guess you can say, somewhat busier than last year. We did, and so
fewer calls, but maybe more. Okay, this is
more real calls. I don't know. Yeah.
Higher quality calls, right? Or calls that required more of your time, energy, and effort. Just fewer calls overall, but the ones that we did
do high quality calls, just like our method.
Yeah, we got it. That's how you roll in Barron. I get it. I get it.
So 911 hang-up calls, there's actually 27 more 911 hang-up calls. So that contributes to part of that CAD. Why that is, I couldn't tell you. I don't know why there was, but it was just a number that they looked at. It was 26 in 2020 and 53. So that's another important point. If you call 911 accidentally, your phone hits it, you have an emergency button in your phone, stay on the line. And so we can say it was an accident so we don't have to send an officer looking for you. Because, those triangulate to an area or a house. If we were to hit 911 right now, it would triangulate to the sheriff's department. It wouldn't say the sheriff's office, but it would say the sheriff's department, and we'd have to send a deputy to look around the building, make sure everything was okay. So
really? I didn't know that. So somebody could just flood. I'm not trying to give bad guys ideas. I don't think bad guys watch this show. But someone could just flood a whole bunch of, buy some burners and just 911 all the time. So because if you get a 911 and it's a hang up, and I guess it makes sense why you would do it.
Right.
That's standard operating procedure. We have to figure out where that person was and go and check on that person.
Correct. And we have to go to the area at least. I mean, you might not be able to leave a message. We call back, leave a message. That's why we beg people to stay on the line, say it was an accident. I know you're embarrassed. You're scared. We're going to come and give you a ticket. We're not going to. We don't do that unless you call every day and hang up on us and, you're doing it for fun. Then it might happen. But don't stay on the line for that and just say, I made a mistake, so we don't have to send a deputy across the county, to an intersection where the call last pinged to.
Wow. Okay.
So we did more traffic stops, 92 versus 63. That made sense because we limited our traffic enforcement last year during COVID to reduce our exposure. So we had 92 traffic stops over the weekend. These are just sheriff's department numbers now.
Yep.
So we had 6 more crashes over the weekend than we did last year. We only had 2 last year. We had 7 this year. So it might be a bumper crash, an accident, something like that.
So the one before, so that was crashes. What was the one before it?
Traffic stops.
Stop. So how much, if you recall, just from, I don't know if there's even, this isn't a number. It's something you just observe. Last year, of course, COVID being what it was, or obviously still is, but at the time, what it was there just a lot less traffic as well? Because I don't really recall last Memorial. Was it?
We limited our traffic exposure last weekend or last year. Like last year, we didn't do click it or ticket.
Sure.
We didn't.
No. I mean, like in terms of like people coming in, like people driving around because of COVID. A lot of people probably didn't go out. So
well,
I mean, was there just less people around or less people out? Was that any part of this?
I still think there was a lot of people out last year during Memorial Day. I mean, we didn't have, but no, because there was no Memorial Day. I went to a couple of Memorial Day services yesterday, one in Barron, one in Chautauqua, which was very fabulous, done by our veterans. And yesterday was a great day to honor veterans. Last year, they didn't have those events. So there was a lot more people out yesterday during the mornings because these events were very well attended, which I was, very well done and very well. A lot of people attended these events. So there was more traffic. So there was more things going on that people could go to rather than just their cabin.
And the 5 crashes, or the 5 more than last year, so you had 2
in
a year last year, now 7 this time. Were those? Do you happen to know? Were these alcohol related?
I don't know that we had any alcohol related crash over the weekend.
That's awesome.
We had some OWIs, and in fact, we got one on the UTV. So our rec officer got a person on the UTV that was intoxicated. I don't believe that one was a crash. I'm trying to think. No, I don't think that one was a crash. So we only had 1 domestic over the weekend.
That's 1 too many, but that's still good news.
But we had 0 last year over the weekend, which was interesting. So only 1 domestic overall the whole weekend. In fact, I just ran some of our domestic numbers, and they look to be down again for 2021. So I think that's a good sign. Yeah, I mean, I just think they've been steadily going down the number of domestics.
And what would you contribute that to?
I don't know the answer to that. I think with Embrace, I think they've done a lot of follow-up. So I think we have less repeat domestics because of the work that they do, and we stand behind our victims. And I know there's been issues with Embrace, and to me, they're all done with. We're back on the same page. We stand with victims with Embrace. We work with them. They're back doing programs in our jail, all this kind of stuff. And so I give them some credit for that. I think people are smarter. I think people understand domestics are bad. I think we've done a lot of education on that. So I think it's similar to underage drinking. When we really pushed hard on underage drinking, we reduced the number. And I think we really pushed hard on domestics, saying it's not okay. It's 1 too many. You're exactly right. And I think that's what it's about. I think it's that education piece and saying, this is just unacceptable. And I think there's a better support system out there for people. I think there's a lot of options out there. And so I hope that's the reason. I hope they don't go up. But we've looked at that. So
that's awesome though. Seriously. Yeah. I mean, everything we talk, drugs, OWIs, and I don't know, for some reason, the domestic situations are the ones that get to me. And I'm sure, like, from your point of view, it's kind of like all sins are created equal type thing, right, that God tells us. So is it, man, a crime's a crime, but for some reason, domestics and anything to do to hurt a kid, that just fires me up, dude. I mean, it just fires me up. That's I don't know. These are like the cardinal sins, right?
Right?
Yeah, don't do that.
Right.
So I'm glad to see those numbers going down, and hopefully they stay that way.
Yeah, and the last one, we had 1 less disorderly conduct, which is, we had 9 versus 10, so that was down. So, all in all, it was a very very productive weekend on the law enforcement end, a very safe weekend on the law enforcement end. We didn't have any major crashes. Friday and Monday were huge traffic days.
Yeah.
On the roads, and didn't have any major crashes. I think that was fabulous. I don't know if we had any crashes involving OWIs. We did have a few OWIs, but nothing newsworthy. So
Right.
it's a great weekend when we do that.
And you just had a few OWIs, and you may not have that number in front of you. That's fine, but that one is probably the one. Well, there's a couple here that surprised me a little bit. Well, I mean, not surprised, but it just noteworthy. But that's probably the one that's the most is it's Memorial Weekend and everybody's out and everybody's driving
Yeah,
and
and we had
very
a
few
lot.
OWIs. That one actually, I just assumed. I mean, there is no average weekend, but I guess that's what an average weekend is average. You have higher one weekend and lower the others. So just ballpark it on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Typically, I'm going to see on Monday morning when I get to work 3 OWIs over the weekend, anywhere from 2 to 6. What's the number for just a regular weekend?
If you count all the local PDs in that, I would say we averaged about, I would say probably close to 6 OWIs. That's
Okay.
all municipalities. I say the sheriff's department picks up 1 to 2. Rice Lake PD gets a couple. Then you throw a Turtle Lake, you throw a Chautauqua, you throw a
Sure.
Barron in there, something like that. So yeah, it's not uncommon to see 3 to 4 at the sheriff's department and 6 to 8 countywide,
Hmm.
which is way too many in a Friday and a Saturday night. Because Sunday night's usually a slower night, so you're really talking 2 nights. You're getting 3 a
Sure.
night. So
And
it's just
so
something that's 100%. That's the one crime. I mean, domestic abuse
preventable.
is also preventable, but OWIs, if you can choose to not get behind the wheel of the car, and it's 100% preventable.
Have an exit strategy. We've talked about that before.
That's right.
You're not going to make a good decision when you're 8 beers in, right?
Yep.
So just know what's your plan in the event that I have more than I need or more than I should in terms of driving. Just have a plan B. That's all. That's it. I think plan B is taken. So we'll have to come up with something else. So comparatively, so now it's like 2 to 6 or so, or maybe 6 over a week. Were you expecting this to be higher over Memorial Weekend?
Well, yeah, I fully expected my phone to ring over the weekend. I mean, I just expected some. You'd normally have a crash, or people aren't paying
Yeah.
attention, or the sun's in someone's eyes. I mean, I'm not saying it's somebody's fault, these crashes, but you had put that many cars on the road and that much traffic. And I ran radar on 53 yesterday, or observed some traffic and helped some guy change a tire that broke
What?
down on his boat yesterday. Yeah, I was out there
Oh
yesterday
boy.
working, and so we helped this guy change a tire, and the traffic was just pull over, oh, pull away from these people. Broke down on the side of the road. The cop cars, the tow trucks, man. Some people didn't move over, which is illegal, but obviously I can't change them while I'm chasing the tire,
Right.
or chase them while I'm changing a tire.
Just
So
take your phone out and take screenshots of all their license plates as they go by.
I'm getting you. But so it's dangerous out there in 53, and I feel bad for our tow truck drivers, our law enforcement officers, and that's why we use these fire trucks to block these crash scenes. They're really the car's not on fire. Why is there a fire truck there? I'm like, it's to save us, because if you hit a fire truck, you're not going to move it. Or you hit a squad car or a boat on the side of the road, it's going to move.
Right.
So that's why we use our volunteer firemen
Yeah.
all the time for those situations. But no, I expected this weekend to be crime-wise busier. I'm glad it wasn't.
Me too.
I mean, graduations. I don't think we arrested anyone for underage drinking, which is a great thing for our kids. I mean, we have all these graduation parties, and the alcohol's out in a little bit more open area. You expect to see that, and I think people are doing a better job with that. And I think that's what's making our community safer. We don't want any kids to get hurt. We don't want anybody to crash and have to do a report on a death or something like that. So I mean, I just think people have done a better job of making sure that this weekend's going to be good, because next weekend's going to be good. And so let's have a safe start to the summer. And we did. We kicked it off really well in Barron County.
Well, I think a lot of the things that you've been doing in Barron County, obviously doing this show, of course, and then the things that you put on Facebook, and you're out and about everywhere, and all of the, your team, everything that they do. I think this also plays a role in this. I mean, it just has to play a role in this, where it's that educational piece, and it's we're present, where we stand, and we're helping and we're educating. Going back to what I had said earlier, parents and communities, we want to see our law enforcement engage in the community. And I think maybe it's one of those things. It may not happen overnight, and maybe not in a month or 2 or 3, but boy, you consistently do that. I think it will pay off in the long run. And again, I have no idea how much that has contributed to this, but it certainly couldn't have hurt.
No, I don't think it hurts at all. And I think having the media behind us and doing some of these stories, either when we're doing something positive or when we catch somebody negative, and we put your picture on the front page of the paper, some people say we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't have our jail log out there.
I get that a lot. Trust me. Yeah.
Right.
Tell them to call back later. It's not important.
Yeah, I did.
It's 911. Who cares that?
That's right. Yeah, it's true. I missed a stat. No, but I think having that, and people say you shouldn't do that. You're embarrassing them. And you know what? They embarrass themselves. They're the ones that. It's not a speed trap unless you're speeding. There's no such thing as a speed trap. If you're not speeding, you can go through a speed trap all day long. And I think we're guilty of calling it that ourselves in law enforcement. We're setting up this trap. It's not a trap. We're just out there doing enforcement, trying to catch people.
Yeah.
If you don't speed, you don't have nothing to worry about. If you don't drink and drive, you don't have anything to worry about, right. Except the guy in front of you, the guy behind you.
Yeah. Yeah. Stop committing crimes, moron. Yeah, that's not that tough. Yeah. I was going through Barron Friday night and then again on Saturday. So I do 4 over. So if it's 65, I'll do 69. If it's 70, I'll do 74. I don't know why, just in my head, that's just what I've always done. I'm 44, I've never had a speeding ticket in my life. So it must be working. But man, I don't think I passed one person on Friday night going to Bloomer, then to Eau Claire, or on Saturday coming back and going through even Barron. Dude, everyone was doing 85. It was ridiculous. I don't know did you know, is it keeping up with traffic, so that's fine, but holy buckets, people were just booking it.
Yeah, and I reserved traffic for about 45 minutes before I saw that car broke down. And the fastest car I saw was 80, which the traffic was busy. It was going from the north to the south, so sure. It's harder to speed when there's a lot of cars, obviously. So, but I was impressed with the speed of the traffic. So I think that's a good point too. So
yeah. Well, they all slowed down in Barron County. I should point that out.
That's right.
It was all the other counties that they were doing 90, but they got to Barron County Fitzy's around.
We got cocky. Next week we'll have 82 press releases now because we got cocky this weekend.
There's a question. I'm sorry. There's a question there. Can you see that from Angela? I think it's a question. I haven't read it all.
There are police officers in Barron County who want to defund the police and highly support that. How should we trust those police officers? I have no idea what she's referencing. I don't think there's police officers that want to defund ourselves. So
that would seem kind of productive.
Yeah. So, I don't think anybody wants to defund us. I think people want to see changes like we've made.
Yeah.
I think people want to see more, more of what we do, and I think be more transparent. And I think we're very transparent. I think we're as transparent as we can be. And I think that's what's educating and helping people understand our jobs a little bit more.
I think so, too. And we've talked about this before, the defund the police. I think a lot of that stuff, as you and I have talked, the situations and the happenings and the perceptions of law enforcement in Chicago, Kenosha, the Twin Cities, and other places isn't necessarily a perception of Barron County or Washburn County or Burnett County or with Tracy Finch. I mean, it's just not the same, I don't think. So maybe there are some people who look at this and go, big cities, we need to rethink this and et cetera. But I don't think that really trickles down to our area. Would you agree?
No, I agree 100%. I don't think we have that. And if somebody has a problem with a police officer or a deputy in Barron County, they can call me directly and talk to me about that. So if she's got a different thing, you can call my office anytime and we'll talk about, an incident, obviously, maybe she had with a police officer or something like that.
Okay. I saw that you have something that you had sent right before we started. So I haven't put it up yet. But I'm not going to laugh saying this.
Okay.
Pork in the park.
Right.
So you sent
That's
that.
our.
So I'm assuming that's something that we want to talk about.
Yeah, I sent that. That is our, our SWAT fundraiser or our emergency response team fundraiser. It's on June 19th at the Weyerhaeuser Park from 2 to 11. You can come out and see some of our equipment. There's a beanbag tournament. There's chicken. There's pig roast. There's a bouncy house.
Nice.
There's music. There's raffles. Lots of things to support our emergency response team, both in Barron and Rusk counties. And so June 19th, come out. We'll see you out there. It'll be a great time. Just to have a good time and good Saturday event to stop at and support your local law enforcement for a little while.
Awesome. Anything else going on?
We lost an important person in Barron County, Foster Freeze, who's a big philanthropist in Barron County and from Wyoming. He's a graduate of the Rice Lake High School. He helped build the Freeze campus with, I see Polly's online here. Polly and Tom Kozier were very instrumental in the Freeze family campus, the new sports complex in Rice Lake. My dad was the mayor at that time. He had a role in it with the city, and between the private donations that Polly and Tom raised and Foster Freeze and the city of Rice Lake and the Rice Lake School District, they were able to put that campus together. Well, Foster passed away this week. He helped a lot of organizations from hockey to Nature's Edge to you name it. He made an impact in our community, and he passed away this weekend. And so our thoughts and prayers are with his family. He was such a great man for our community. Romaine knew him very well. He was just, he just did whatever for whatever people. He was very instrumental in the tornado 4 years ago when he came up with the governor and started saying, he not only did he want to give money, he wanted to get dirty and get the hammers out and start cleaning this up with us right then and there. That's the kind of guy he was, and so he'll be missed from the Rice Lake area. He was a good friend, and he was just a great guy for, I think he gave away over $500 million or $1 billion. I don't know how much he gave away. He gave away tons of money all the time. $500 million, I think he gave away in his lifetime to different organizations across, America. So he's a true patriot, a good friend, and so he'll be missed in our Rice Lake area. So just wanted to recognize him for all he's done in our community. I mean, he was always there to help. We'd send an email and he'd send a check in a second's notice, and you'd get the check the next day. And I didn't even know the mail worked that fast, but he made it work that fast, and he made things happen. So shout out to him and everybody that's.
I wish I could have gotten to know him.
Yeah,
I've heard of his name, but I don't know much about him at all. So,
and I didn't. I got to know him through Tom Kozier and Polly, and he was just a great guy and just made things happen for kids. He's very instrumental in the bullying program in our schools, from Birchwood to Rice Lake. He did it. It wasn't just like I want to give money. He was like, let's go make a difference. And if we could all be like that, our world would be a way better place. So.
Right, and it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be financially successful or well off. Boy, if we just all did that every day, and you and I talk about that. When we finish, you're going to say the same thing, because at the end of the show, I always say, stay positive and have a blessed day. And you always say, let's go make a difference, right? It's the same thing, and just we can all just make a difference, and whether it's with a check or whether it's through our words or whether it's not doing something. Sometimes that's just as important as doing something. Man, we could all make a difference, just all of us, just that one little bit, dude.
Yeah.
If you add it all up, holy cow, what a great place.
Yeah. Do it for him this week. He deserves it. There'll be, I believe, a ceremony on Monday. They're going to have people line up in front of the Freeze family campus on Wisconsin Avenue in Rice Lake. I believe Monday at 1. Don't quote me on the time yet. There's still some works, and we're going to, his final resting place is going to be Rice Lake. He is a graduate of the Rice Lake High School. That's why his connection to Rice Lake there, and has many friends and helped a lot of people in Barron County. So we thank to him. A shout out to all our veterans for Memorial Day yesterday with some great programs, some heartwarming programs across the county and across the nation for our veterans. So thank you to all of our veterans for Memorial Day. and Donut Dash will be opened up this week, so you can get your Donut Dash T-shirts very soon, and that's in July. So
Okay. Hey, real quick question. Rules on
can
they're
you
supposed to
post
stop
the
the
rules
vehicle and
how you're
cross.
supposed to stop for people in crosswalks?
Uh,
Seems like they can't figure it out. Um,
yeah, I have
you
a
have to
question.
stop for people in crosswalks.
Yeah, I have a question about that. So if
Okay.
they're first of all, you can just cross the street now. I don't think there's different rules for Barron unless it's like Rice Lake municipal ordinance or
No,
something.
no.
But in Wisconsin, like I can jaywalk. I can just walk across the street, right? I don't have to go to the
Some
thing.
municipalities don't allow that. You
Okay.
can't just jaywalk. You have to. There's some in some business districts. I don't think many people have them anymore, but you should always cross an intersection. But obviously, people cross, at their driveways and do different things. But you have
Right.
to stop for people in crosswalks. Now, someone can't just be like, I'm approaching the crosswalk. I'm walking down the sidewalk. I'm going to cross the street. I have to stop as the pedestrian has to have some responsibility in this, but they don't have a lot, and they have to stop, and you should always make eye contact. We teach that to all of our kids and our elderly people about walking, and we have a safe walk talk that we do, how to walk safely. In the summer, in the springtime, your concrete's lifted, so more people fall during the springtime than during the summer because our concrete goes back down, our sidewalks are flat. But you have to cross the crosswalk. You have to give cars time to stop. But once you're in the crosswalk, cars have to stop legally for you. Spooner PD used to do a great operation where they'd have, I think the former chief used to walk across the street and he'd radio when someone didn't stop for him, and then the Spooner cop would get him down the road. I
Yeah.
think they did that very well. Spooner PD did a great
Yep.
job of that.
So I have one more follow up question on that. When you have a crosswalk and you hit the button to at the light intersection,
Mhm.
can you can cross that without having to hit the button, right? I mean that's not illegal unless
No,
it's
it's
municipality
not.
or something like that.
The
But right?
warning sign to help you. Yeah, no, if it's you don't have to use the button. No,
Okay. I wish people in Spooner would stop doing that.
using the
Like
button.
there's nobody coming. You don't have to hit the button to put the light to red. There's nobody coming. Just walk across the street. I'm sorry. Be
Oh.
safe. That's fine. Hit the button. We'll stop.
Be positive, will you? Come on.
I'm trying.
They're just trying to be safe. You're criticizing. Like,
I'm being
push the
positive. I
button.
want to get home faster.
I'm gonna sit on the street corner and yell at people when they push the button. And there's no car coming. That's just Ben. Leave him alone.
Thanks, Fitzy. As always, it's a
All right,
pleasure.
thank you.
For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden, and you've been watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by ICAA. ICAA is your local social service organization that works together with individuals, families, and communities to create and support local solutions for local needs. For a full list of services, find them on Facebook or check them out on their website at indianheadcaa.org. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week. Until then, stay safe, stay positive, and as always, hey, have a blessed day. See you, Fitzy. Just kidding.